Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Just Another Autism Podcast. Today, I am joined by Chef Maneet Chauhan. She's a TV personality and previously the executive chef on several notable restaurants in Chicago, Nashville, and New York. And she's also featured as a judge on Chopped on the Food Network. But more than that, Chef Manit is also a mother of a child on the autism spectrum, and she's been a fierce advocate for our community and has been involved with Autism Speaks for quite a few years now. And I'm very excited to talk with her today. So, welcome. Hi, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so excited to have this conversation.
Of course. So I know you've spoken about your son being on the autism spectrum before. How has that experience shaped your perspective as a chef and also as a parent?
I think as a parent, I think, we have an older daughter and then a younger son. He is on the spectrum. To me, it's been a very wondrous journey in the sense that it just fascinates my husband and me how his mind works, right? And it's interesting because we try our level best to work on the same plane that he is, but he is so far ahead of us. And I think that is it's really interesting. But I think what it has taught us, not only as human beings and as parents and as hospitality professionals and me as a chef, is the fact that you know um, people's perception of the world is so different, right? And that's how our son is obsessed about a couple of things, and that's the world that he lives in. And it just makes us see the wonderment of the world through different eyes, and I think that is basically what it is.
What would you say are your son's biggest strengths?
His strength is Marvel. Disney and Marvel are his two biggest strengths. That is his superpower. Like he's so obsessed. Uh, when he gets obsessed with something, then it is, he will get to know everything about it, right? We as people are interested in so many different things. And because we are interested in so many different things, we go ahead and touch the surface of different areas. But because he gets obsessed about one thing, he will go and do like in-depth research about everything. So you like if you meet him and tell him that which year did such and such a movie come out, he'll be like 1965 and this was the movie. And it's like I'm like, okay. So I think that's what his biggest strengths are, is just his need to cross each and every T and dot each and every I in his world.
Does he like Stitch? I see you're wearing a Stitch hoodie.
He absolutely does. Absolutely. And so do I. So, that's what it's all about.
That's awesome. And so does he have any sensitivity when it comes to food? Like, a lot of people on the spectrum are pretty picky. And if he does that influence how you cook at home or in your restaurant?
So he actually, I think he's on the other side of, sensitivity to food. Like whatever we put in front of him, he'll eat it. He'll eat everything. But at times, I don't think that he's tasting what he's eating. He's eating it because he's eating it, right? So we've got to kind of train him to kind of, we're like, this is your food. And at times we really laugh that he becomes one with food. And now I think now after 10 years, he has finally started saying no to a couple of things, right? And he still doesn't say it no in the sense that I don't like it. He'll say it, I am full. And then I turn to him, I'm like, do you want dessert? He's like, yes. But we're like, but you were full, right? So it's interesting. Um, I I don't think that it has affected the way we cook or put things across in the restaurant, other than the fact that I have him experiment more flavors and just play with, like, Yeah, and play with the food. I think that's it. Play with the food and flavors.
And does he cook with you at all? Is that something you do together? No, he doesn't have any interest in cooking.
Not even remotely. Not even remotely. At times I used to try to. I'm like, hey, you know what? Hulk would be cooking this, and then he would look at it and he's like, yeah, no, he's just not interested at all.
Is he like your tester? Will he try the food and tell you if he likes it as you're cooking at all? Not even.
Not really. No. To him, it is like he's very particular. Like every day at around, if his dinner is not served before 6 o'clock, he'll be standing in the kitchen. I'm hungry. That's it. Like to him, it's his routines are very clockwork, right? He comes on weekends, he will come down and, I'm a early riser, so we do our weekend movie morning. So both of us, we're going to sit and see something. And he comes down and the first thing he's like, I'm hungry. So he needs his breakfast, then he wants to do his stuff. So he knows when he's hungry, but not very particular about what he gets to eat. And because I'm a chef and my husband hospitality professional, we make sure that the food he eats is really good, like this avocado toast and omelets and stuff. But I don't think it comes because he's dictating it. It's because we are dictating it to him.
I mean, that's amazing. I think like so many parents of autistic children, myself included, I mean, I wish my kids would eat like avocado toast and omelette, and it's amazing to hear. I mean, do you think that it's because he's been exposed to your cooking from a very young age?
I think it's because he's been exposed to my cooking, like even before he was born. I mean, this was the food that I was
Okay.
eating, but also when he was born, and that is something like there is a lot of, um, the Indian that we grew up with, that was his first, bite, right? Like the food that we would make would have like, there's turmeric in it. There would be cloves, turmeric for, anti-inflammatory, cloves, which is for digestion, ginger. Even though I was putting a small quantity, I still was doing that. So even when he started his solids started with spices. It wasn't
Wow.
plain. So, like if I would make rice and lentils, it would have those spices in it. And spices necessarily, like a lot of people think that spice means spicy, hot, but it's not. There's so many different, spices. And to me, as a chef, I think I have become more interested in the medicinal aspects of spices after having him, to see how I can help, right? And it has, like, there are a lot of things, like even adding ghee to his diet, or like turmeric, ginger, black peppercorns. Right now he has a little bit of a cold, and every day we give him what he calls the spicy honey, which is ginger, honey, turmeric, a little bit of olive oil, and black pepper. So we try to keep it as natural as possible.
That's great. In France, we have a lot of spices too, and they're not necessarily spicy. And when I
Yes.
moved here, like, and I'm in Texas, everything I eat, I have no tolerance. I think because I didn't grow up eating spicy food. So it's very difficult for me living here.
And I can and that's the whole thing that I keep on telling people. I was doing a show, and it was very funny. I would walk up, I'm talking to people, I would walk up to the spice rack, I would grab some fennel, I would take some and start eating it, and everybody's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, it's great for digestion, right? Like that's what I'm doing. So it is, I think once you start realizing that spices come in so many different personalities, you can really celebrate those personalities.
Yeah, and that's something that's difficult to teach, I think, to people. I'm glad you're doing that in your shows. Um, so you don't have experience with picky eating, but you're a chef, and I'm wondering if you have any ideas on how to maybe incorporate like those spices or vegetables, like for picky eater who have like very specific foods.
I think one of the biggest things is just trying to figure out what they don't like about the food. And that is the toughest thing to do, right? Because food is not only about flavor, but it's about textures also. So at times there might be some textures which they just do not appreciate, right? And at that time, just go ahead and change the texture of the food. So be it like in case of like if there's somebody who doesn't like grains, right? But grains are really, I mean, they're good for you. I go ahead, I pressure cook it, and I go ahead and mash it, right? That is something, and this is like when they were young, that's what we would do. And then there was a time when, when there was that mess, which was that reaching out by your hand and eating it. Like for the longest time, it was really interesting with our son. His name is Karma. I think the time that we really started noticing that, that we needed to get him tested was, when a kid is sitting and you put toys in front of them, they pick it up and they play with it, right? We would put toys in front of him, he wouldn't pick it up and play with it, right? Or like there wasn't that, like the toys would be right over there, and that's the time when we got into the testing and all of that kind of stuff. And so that was interesting, because when he started reaching out finally to grab some food and stuff, I started forming things in shapes, right? Like, one day I would be like, I would get those cutters and I'm like, okay, fish, like just rice, like sticky rice, and I would make it into a fish, or I would make it into hearts, or those kind of things, because after some time it becomes the visual aspect of it. And if you look at kids, a lot of kids, they grab things and they put it in their mouth. So might as well do it during eating time, right? They're going to take it and put it in their mouth. So just have fun with it, right? Some of them enjoy it, some of them don't. I do think that in terms of spices, they can be like things like turmeric. If To get a taste of turmeric, you need to put an insane amount of turmeric, right? But even a little bit of turmeric, it has some benefits, right? So simple thing, if you're making rice, put a little bit of turmeric in it. Ghee as a fat is one of the healthiest fats out there, right? So a little bit of ghee goes a long way. Like, it not only helps your entire digestion, it helps, your mental growth, etc. So all of those things, if you start in real moderate quantities till the time they like it, and then, hey, listen, everybody is not going to like everything. We are adults. We don't like everything, right? We are still picky about it. So we don't like, if there is something that you crack the code on, then, have variations of that. If rice is something that they like, then go ahead. And if you're cooking rice, put some spinach in it when you're cooking it, right? You have there's a little bit of iron going in, put lentils in it, have that as a foundation, and then build on top of that.
That's really good advice. I think you're totally right about the texture. And yeah, I would encourage parents to try out your tips because, I think there are ways, how they have like those, sweet potato fries, for instance. I mean, it's a little bit healthier, not by much, but, there are alternatives to try. And I like your idea to try small amounts of spices, especially if they don't taste very strong. So the
Yeah.
child might not, maybe not, because some of them can really taste any little difference, but worth a shot, right?
Yeah. I mean, and that's the whole thing. I think it is also to kind of have fun with them when it comes to food. And if they can, then they will not at times. And I used to do that, I mean, especially with my daughter when she was younger, right? Like at times she would be picky about it. And after some time, I realized that it became a chore for her, right? To me, I live for eating. Eating is like it gives me joy, but to her, it had become a chore. And at that time, I'm like, no, let's get the fun back into it and have them enjoy it.
And that's what they say for babies under one, like food before one is for fun, like let them play with it, let them try out anything they want, and maybe that has to go longer than just 1 year old.
I agree. I agree. I mean, I always say like we also as adults, right? Like we
Yeah.
have food for pleasure. So might as well, right? Like just I think somewhere in between we've become so adamant, no, eat, eat, eat. And I think at times we just need to uh give it a little bit of slack.
And on another subject, so your son, you say he likes his routine. And I know that's the case for many autistic people, and that can make it difficult to go to restaurants. And as someone who's both like a parent and in the culinary world, I'm wondering, like, do you have any ideas on how we could make restaurants maybe more inclusive for autistic people, like easier for parents to take their children to a restaurant? Do you do any of these things at yours?
To us, we believe that anybody who walks into the restaurant needs to have a great time, right? It's about family because you're taking the time out to cherish that moment. So to us, what is important is that, like, and we have a couple of people who are coming, especially, with anybody with an autistic family member. And we've been in business for 10 years, so we've kind of made those relationships. And whenever that is, I think noise is something that really bothers, a lot of people on the spectrum. So whenever that happens, I always tell them, I'm like, come in early, come in really early, come in, we'll open slightly earlier for you so that, because whatever said and done, no matter how quiet the corner is, there's always sound which will travel. So we try to do that, right? Like, come in at 4:30, we'll make sure, or come, or if you want to come for lunch, come in later, come in around at 2 o'clock. We'll make sure that, that you are in the most secluded part. And I think that is something which if conveyed to restaurants, I do think that more restaurants than less will go out of their way to accommodate the people, because we're in the service industry. We are here for service, right? And it is for service for everyone. It's not only for, adults, but even for children, even, autistic children, for people with special needs. And I think that's what the restaurant industry as a whole needs to do.
Maybe restaurants could have a little sign that says, hey, if you have an autistic child, or like just talk to us, and, just so the parents can feel comfortable telling the restaurant about their child's like diagnosis.
And I think that is also really interesting, because one of the biggest conversations is the power of having a conversation, right? Because as it is, and many times people don't have that conversation, and I think that's a fantastic idea. That's a great idea you've given me, and I'm going to call up my team, and I'm going to make sure that we put small signs around. That's a great idea.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I would love to see that when I'm out. It would make me feel a lot safer bringing my kids there.
Yeah,
So
that is
food,
true.
food for thought.
Food for thought. I'm like, not only that, I'm like, okay, I'm like, now I'm going to have my team do that. That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
And you've been participating in the Autism Speaks Chef Gala. Um, does it have any special significance to you having a child on the spectrum?
Absolutely. I think it's easier to speak from your heart. We as chefs are asked to participate in a lot of things, and usually our answers are, it's always yes. If you have the availability, you always go ahead and do that. And this was really interesting. It was just a conversation. I think in December I was at West Palm Beach, and I was talking to Chef Franklin Becker's manager, and I said, yeah, and he's met us, he's met our entire family. And I said, yeah, so with, Karma on the Spectrum, he's like, wait, I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah. And then he immediately the next day, I am connected with Franklin. Like, he calls me up, Chef Becker, I'm like talking to him, and he's like, this is it. So I'm like, count me in, absolutely. But not only that, I just recently was at Sobe, the South Beach Food and Wine, and there was a competition, and the winner could donate all, the winnings to their charity of choice. And I won 5,000 for Autism Speaks. So it's like, wherever I can kind of spread the word, why not, right? Even if it
That's
just
awesome.
helps a couple of people, it's better than helping no one.
Have you benefited from any of the resources on the Autism Speaks website, or?
Um, in all honesty, I haven't delved really like deeply into it, but I have been connected to people. So I'm just starting that journey. I'm starting that journey.
And we're very thankful you are. I mean, it's so great. I mean, your connection is so perfect.
I think it's also amazing, because I think one of the most powerful things is that in these situations, families, especially parents, they feel very isolated. right?
Right.
They think that they think that, they are the ones who are dealing with everything. But getting to know other people, other parents who are going through this, and resources, and I always realize that people are very generous with sharing their experiences and what they have learned along the way. And that was one of the reasons where I was like, I mean, I'm sure you've had a lot of people on, this podcast who can speak in depth about a lot of things. I'm so new at it, so I am learning, as much from everyone as I can.
Oh, that's beautiful. And you're right that this can be very isolating, and connecting with parents, caregivers, other autistic people who understand. I mean, it's so valuable. It feels like a big virtual hug, and I think we all need that in this community. So thank you again for coming on the podcast today. And I wish I could come to the gala, but I know you're gonna have a blast.
Well, maybe make a trip to Nashville. It'll be awesome to see you over here.
Austin, Austin, Texas.
I was just there. I
Really?
just spent 2 weeks over there.
No way.
Yeah.
What do you do here?
I was filming a show. We were
Oh,
filming somewhere in like Bee Cave.
yeah.
It was amazing. Long days, but it was right in between the South by Southwest, so it was crazy. I was at the Four Seasons, so every time we would get into downtown, it would be chaotic. But Nash, I mean, Austin has a fantastic food scene.
Oh yeah. Yeah, even like our trucks, like our taco trucks were like so good.
That's
Yeah.
what we did the first day. We just drove around. I'm like, stop here, stop here, stop here, stop here. It was just so good. I
What
love
was
it.
one of your favorite?
So in terms of the restaurant, we found, I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong. It's QI. Is it Chi or so
Um,
it's a dim sum, it's a restaurant. It's a modern Chinese, modern Asian place. It's in downtown. And it was like 7 minutes from Four Seasons. So I'm like, I don't know the geography very good, but incredible dim sums, like their dumplings and the whole place. Like we went there 4 times. Like we were like regulars over there. It was amazing. And then Kanji is one of my favorite restaurants. Like Chef Tavel is incredible. Um, we went to, what was the park? We went to this one of the food truck parks, and then we ordered everything. We went from the arepas to the tacos. There was Thai. There was some Middle Eastern. There was some dessert. So we just like, there were like a bunch of us. So it's always amazing just to order a little bit of everything.
yeah, that's amazing. I'm gonna go try out that QI. I had never heard
It's
of it.
it is. It's like, and it was like, it was full. Like, so make reservations when you go.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, let me know next time you're here.
I
We'll get.
will do that. I will do that.
And thank you again for coming on the podcast. And do you want to tell people where they can find you on social media or anywhere?
Absolutely. So I'm on all social media platforms. I'm most active on Instagram, and it is at Maneet Chauhan. That's ManeetChauhan.
And I'll share a link in the description so people can find you.
Love it.
But thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.